Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
You're doing a great job in this bill.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this, what I consider to be a very sad day in this Parliament, when we time allocate a bill that has not been consulted properly, Mr. Speaker. Obviously, this bill was brought forward because this particular document came out careless about childcare. I want to thank the member from Hamilton Mountain who took the time to ask the Ombudsman to do a report on the inefficiencies that had come from this government through the Ministry of Education on childcare over the last decade, Mr. Speaker. And so, when this report came out, the government brags that they've already adopted something like 30% or 35% of the recommendations in here. Mr. Speaker, that is just the beginning of the number of problems we have with Bill 10. I can tell you that I've heard a number of the government members speak, Mr. Speaker, or mention, Mr. Speaker, that after the minister consulted, the minister did not consult, Mr. Speaker, with any of the independent childcare providers in Ontario. That is why in the first week back I asked the government, our House Leader, to go to the House Leaders meeting and ask if we could have travel this bill, because there are something like 800,000 children in the province of Ontario, about 75 to 80% of those children that are looked after by independent childcare providers. I thought maybe those people should have a say in this bill. Is there something wrong with that?
I think so.
Those are people from Thunder Bay, from Kenora, from Ottawa, from Pembroke, all across our province. And now they're sending in letters by the hundreds. They're adopting rallies. They're having rallies that's coming up. We've had a couple already. We're having more this weekend. To try to get, I mean, we know the government's not, we know they've made up their mind. They're running as fast as they can to try to cover up under this bill, under this Ombudsman's report. The quicker they can sweep it under the carpet, the better it'll be, because they do not want those people. They do not want those 800,000 children who are under independent childcare providers to have a say. In fact, most of them, Mr. Speaker, across this province know nothing about this right now. There are literally thousands and thousands of families. And how many people will this put out of work if we adopt this bill in its present form? Around 60,000 people. 60,000 people will be put out of work because they'll have to shut down their small businesses. Now, these, Mr. Speaker, are people that take in 2 or 3 people, 4 people, 4 children, and they supplement their income, and it helps out some of their neighbours down the street. You know, so they make you know, $1,000 a month or something like that. That goes towards paying their mortgage or their car payments or heating, and it helps the other families, Mr. Speaker, helps them provide them with a place to babysit their children. We've been doing that for years. I mean, that's something that's common in Ontario. And now what are we going to do? We're going to have a Ministry of Education police force. The enforcement division, kind of like that bunch of jokes at the College of Trades. Mr. Speaker, that's where we've come in this province. We no longer care about what the average family thinks. We're just going to be mama or papa to all of them. And so what are we going to do? We're going to send out a police force. There'll probably be, I can just imagine it now, little pink and blue minivans running around and making sure if they see some lady going down the street with a stroller for 3, let's nail her. She's probably a villain. We can charge her $200,000 or whatever the fee is that they're going to nail people with. It's insane. All I asked for, Mr. Speaker, all I asked for from day one was for this bill to be travelled. I know my colleagues in the NDP did the same. The whole child care division of the Ministry of Education has, Mr. Speaker, has been a disaster for the last decade, and we're going to clean it all up before Christmas. Give me a break. That will never happen. You know what? They won't put the resources into the enforcement, so that what will happen, it'll continue on exactly the way it is, and those people that have been looking, those independent child care providers that are looking after those 800,000 children today, they will be doing it underground. The same as what happens with the College of Trades or any of these other enforcement divisions. It's amazing how we have to enforce everything with a separate division of its own. Like the MNR, they've got the conservation officers, and you know the Minister of Natural Resources brags about that. You know what? They haven't got enough money for the gas for the trucks. They don't go out. They make the odd time they'll take a trip out to enforce hunting and fishing because they don't have enough money in their budget. The same as the College of Trades. We had to have that. What have they really done so far? They've just nailed people for more money, another tax. And what do we've got? We've got people at the College of Trades that aren't as effective as homeless people on the street. They're completely useless to Ontario, as far as I'm concerned. And now we've got the enforcement division of the College of Trades. And you know what? Maybe they'll do some economizing here, and they'll have the enforcement division of the Ministry of Education to nail these childcare providers. You know, maybe what we'll do is we can use some cost savings here and have the College of Trades guys help them. You know, can you imagine that going around? A guy with a hard hat, and it'll be a blue and white uniform, okay, a blue and pink uniform. You know, you can see it happening right now. This is nothing but a joke, and this government is trying to push this thing through as fast as they can because they do not want these independent child care providers across Ontario to unite and actually voice their concerns. So the sooner we can get this thing done, the better it'll be. You know already, you know, the Deputy House Leader mentioned very briefly, he mentioned that, you know, we're going to have night committee hearings. Well, I wonder if there'll be actually teleconferencing allowed, because the people that are going to have thousands of people will not be allowed to have their say on this bill because it's not traveling. So surely to God, Mr. Speaker, we'll allow night conference calling for people to conference call in from different parts of Ontario, and. I would have rather seen the bill, instead of sitting at nights, I would have rather maybe taken a trip up to Thunder Bay with the committee and actually met some people, or over to Windsor, even during the House sittings. But you know what? As recently as yesterday, we were under the impression that the House Leader had some strong feelings towards making this more open and transparent. Now there's a word. Transparency. This government brags about transparency. Can you believe the things that are happening under this transparent government? 100% of the bills so far are time allocated. We've got a project like this Mars project over here, another disaster. It falls in line with the transparency around the power plant scandals. Can you believe that? You know, we can't have those people in anymore to testify. The OPP know better. You know what? That's what we call transparency here, but we're going to pass the Transparency Accountability Act. You know what? Let's give our heads a shake. It's almost embarrassing, Mr. Speaker, to be elected here and come here and have to sit in this House and listen to this garbage, because over and over and over again they let the people of Ontario down by playing Papa and Mama to the citizens of Ontario. As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Speaker, the people that know best about to handle their children in the province of Ontario are their mothers and the fathers of those children, not Kathleen Wynne and any of the people on that side of the House. I think the average family takes a lot of pride in who babysits their children or what daycare they take it to, and I think it's a disgrace that we not allow those people to say a few words at a time when there's an opportunity to really voice their concerns on a bill that will be, in fact, Mr. Speaker, a bill that may last for many, many years. Let's get this thing right. So will they actually listen to amendments? I don't think so. There might be one or two, but you know what happens in these committee hearings, eh? The opposition proposes an amendment. We get it all. We do a lot of research into it, and then the Ministry of Education bureaucrats, okay, they give the speaking notes to the parliamentary assistant to say why it's wrong. Now keep in mind, the Ministry of Education bureaucrats are the same people that caused this Ombudsman report to come out in the first place. They didn't do their job. They didn't do their job in enforcement. So whatever we hear coming from the parliamentary assistant when it comes to the amendments we propose on the bill, we know that it's the same people that made up this, okay? That are the result of that happening. So, Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words this morning. I think you probably know where I stand. I'm embarrassed to say I sit in this House and to time allocate a bill that should have been travelled across this province. And how many weeks are we really out, Mr. Speaker? Think about it. We're about the middle of November now, the 1st of November now. The time allocation, we won't get this bill passed until sometime maybe around the 1st of December or the second week of December. All I was asking for was to travel in the winter months. We're back here anyhow by Family Day, which is like the middle of February. They could have done their clause by clause then, and third reading then. We're out 7-8 weeks at the most. That's all we're out. That's all I asked for as the critic for education. And what do we get? We get time allocation, and we're batting 100% on time allocation. That's obviously the way this government's going. And I guess we'll have to put up with this. They have the majority, and the people, I guess in 4 years, the people will decide whether they like time allocated motions and to be treated like basically how some people are treated in Ontario, which is a very poor manner. I have hundreds of letters coming into my office and emails right now. I wish I could read them all, but those people will try to be present at rallies. They'll try to be at some of the committee hearings, and maybe there might even be a demonstration or two here at Queen's Park. But the reality is, this reminds me a lot of the horse racing industry job, how they handled that. You know what? Remember that? The casino modernization plan. Boy, for a few weeks there, the finance minister and Paul Godfrey and these guys, they were going to change the whole world. There's going to be casinos everywhere. They were fighting where it was going to go in Vaughan or Toronto or Niagara or whatever. Whatever happened to that? Nothing. Nothing happened because people, they didn't realize that the people were tapped out for the kind of money they were gambling. And what have they done in the meantime? They've destroyed the horse racing industry. Like about 40,000 jobs are now gone into that industry, impacting everything from the people that make hay and that grow hay and sell it to the farms, right through to veterinarians, etc. That's the sort of thing we get when we don't listen to the opposition. You didn't listen to them, and then we destroyed the horse racing industry. Now we're going to drive the child care industry underground in Ontario because of this bill. So I thank you for the opportunity. I know other people in my caucus want to speak it later on, and I appreciate the opportunity. But we will continue to fight on behalf of the child care providers in Ontario, and behalf of the children in Ontario who deserve nothing best than a strong opposition to this pathetic bill. Thank you very much.